Hey, how are you? I'm going to be reading from Chapter 12 of Essentials of Strength Training and Conditioning. Chapter 12, Administration, Scoring, and Interpretation of Selected Tests. This will be page 250. As discussed in Chapter 11, the strength and conditioning professional, often referred to as tester in this chapter, who has a broad understanding of exercise science, can effectively choose and utilize tests and measurements to make training program decisions that help athletes achieve their goals and maximize their potential. To do this effectively, the tester must administer tests correctly, analyze test data accurately, and then combine the results of selected tests to generate an athletic profile. This chapter covers these basic concepts of these basic aspects of testing performance-related parameters and provides comprehensive age and sport-specific descriptive and normative data for selected tests. The measuring parameters of athletic performance. Athleticism incorporates many physical abilities, some of which are much more amenable to training than others. Such abilities may be called components of athletic performance. That is the agility, the ability to respond effectively to various physical challenges. This section focuses on how each component can be tested and highlights specific relevant issues. Maximum muscular strength, low speed strength. Maximal strength tests usually involve relatively low movement speeds and therefore reflect low speed muscular strength. In this case, muscular strength is related to the force a muscle or muscle group can exert in one maximal effort, and it can be quantified by the maximum weight that can be lifted once, the 1 rep max. In exercises such as the bench press or the back squat, the maximum force exerted isometrically against an immovable object, as measured with a transducer, or the maximum force that can be exerted at a particular isokinetic speed. Because 1 rep max tests do not require expensive equipment and reflect the kind of dynamic ability necessary in sport, they are the maximal strength test of choice for most strength and conditioning professionals. In general, 1 rep max tests are administered after the athlete has warmed up by performing a few sets of the test exercise with some maximal loads, beginning with relatively light one. The first attempt is usually with about 50% of the athlete's estimated 1 rep max weight. After the athlete has rested enough to feel recovered from the previous attempt, 1 to 5 minutes, depending on the difficulty of the attempt, the strength and conditioning professional increases the weight somewhat based on the ease with which the previous trial was performed. A skilled strength and conditioning professional should, within 3 to 5 attempts following warm-up, be able to find the athlete's 1 rep max load to within a few percentage points of the true value. Anaerobic or maximum muscular power, high speed strength. High speed muscular strength or maximal anaerobic muscular power or anaerobic power is related to the ability of the muscle tissue to exert high force while contracting at a high speed. Tests of such strength and power are a very short duration, are performed at maximal movement speeds, and produce very high power outputs. High-speed maximal muscular power tests are often called maximal anaerobic power tests. Scores on high-speed muscular strength tests include the 1 rep max of explosive exercises like the power clean, the snatch, or the push jump, the height of the vertical jump, and the time to sprint up a staircase. As explosive exercise tests take about 1 second, while low-speed maximal strength tests generally require 2 to 4 seconds to complete. ATP stored in the active muscles is the primary energy source for both types of tests. Key point. Most maximal muscular strength tests use relatively slow movement speeds and therefore reflect low speed strength. Conversely, assessment of high speed muscular strength can involve measuring the 1 rep max of the explosive resistance training exercises, the height of the vertical jump, or the time to sprint up a staircase. ATP is the primary energy source for both low speed and high speed muscular strength tests. Yeah, we still got time. Power output reflects both force and velocity. The height of a jump is a function of the velocity at which the athlete leaves the ground. An athlete may not improve in jump height after gaining body weight during a resistance training cycle, making it appear the power output is unchanged. However, because the athlete is heavier and propels the body to the same height, indicating the same takeoff velocity, an increase in power output is evident. This applies to any test in which body weight is manipulated. Running upstairs. Moving a heavier body at the same speed requires a higher power output. An alternative class of anaerobic power test involves the use of cycle ergometer. This type of test can be advantageous for the strength and conditioning professional in some injury situations in which running is restricted or when the athlete participates in a non-body weight support sport, such as rowing or cycling. The most commonly used test of this type is the Wingate anaerobic test. A field test protocol involves use of a cycle ergometer with mechanical means of adjusting resistance and measuring pedal revolutions and rate. In a laboratory setting, an electronically instrumented ergometer can simplify parameter measurements and improve accuracy. Typical protocols involve a basic warm-up followed by a 30-second test interval. In this test, resistance is applied quickly after the individual reaches a near maximal pedal rate, typically 90 to 110 rotations per minute. The resistance applied is proportional to body weight. The percentage is greater for trained athletes than for individuals with less training. Work performed is determined from the resistance value and number of pedal revolutions. Power is generally calculated as work divided by time for each 5-second time interval during the 30-second test. Parameters typically calculated include peak power, average power, and fatigue index, such as a ratio of maximum to minimum interval power. Norms for cycle ergometer tests are available. I'm going to leave it right there. That is page 250 and 251. That is measuring parameters of athletic performance, maximum muscular strength, anaerobic or maximum muscular power sections. All right. See ya.